Hey guys, I know a lot of you have been asking me to take a tour inside of our machine sheds so you can see just what we have. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through all the equipment that we've had. We have it all lined up in one of our strips because tomorrow we are having a farm auction, and 2 months ago my grandpa passed away, so we're selling off all of his equipment, and I figured what's a better opportunity to go through and show you everything we've had. So yeah, I'm just gonna walk through and show you everything, talk about it a little bit maybe. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this video. I'm gonna start us off here right by our machine shed. Here we have our 6-row 693 corn head. This corn head's been pretty good. It hasn't given us any trouble. It's kind of rusty now because it's been sitting in the barn or in the machine shed all winter. Here we are at our used oil pump. Basically what we do is, I'm not going to touch it because it's full of oil, but you can lift that up and there's a filter sitting in there. You can place your used filters on that. I did a video on putting this in, or taking oil out of it and whatnot, so I'm not really going to talk about this very much, but it's pretty handy. It's provided us a good spot to put all of our used oil into one spot. Up next is our generator. Again, we haven't had too much use for this thing. Sometimes in the winter when the power would cut out because maybe of an ice storm, or someone hit a power pole and the power got cut off and it was time for milking, then we'd go hook this up onto the tractor. There's the PTO for it. It's driven by PTO, and there's this cable running over top that plugs in to the power pole. There's a plug-in for it, so that provides the farm with all the power. Over on the power pole there's a lever that you can switch to keep from sending power back out the line. You want to make sure to flip that over before anything else. Another interesting thing, here's our gas fuel barrel. Now these are 30 plus years old, and as you can see down at the bottom down here, there's that little plug. Those are no longer legal in the state of Wisconsin, and the reason we've been keeping those is because they were grandfathered in, which is my grandfather had purchased them back in the 70s, and since he had them before the law changed where you couldn't have that plug, he was allowed to keep using them, and they're still around, so they've been pretty reliable. This is our gas tank. It's got red on the front. I'm not sure if that's per law required. Now here's our diesel barrel. This is painted green. I think it's mostly for us to know which ones to take fuel out of, because when they're side by side you can mix them up fairly easily. This is another one that he's had for a long time because it's still got the plug, which is no longer legal. This is one of the diesel barrels from one of the other farms. Same as the other two. It's got a plug down at the bottom, so it's not legal in the state of Wisconsin anymore. These are surprisingly still working, just the fuel gauge. Over here we've got our small hydraulic driven auger. We put this under for when we're filling up the corn harvester, high moisture corn. We would use this to feed in to our blower, our green blower over there, because the wagons can't feed high enough into the blower. So we use this to feed into there, and it brings up into the blower. So usually this would just hook up to the tractor that was powering the blower. Here we have a John Deere blade. I'm not sure what everyone loves about these so much, but there's been quite a few people coming in to look at this. You can use it to plow snow or to grade your driveway. And we've got two other blades that we were using on our other farms. Over here we have our Tine Forks for hooking onto the back of the tractor so that we can pick up round bales and move them. Also handy for moving feed bunks or anything else of the sort, because the tines are spaced just right. And we got another one here. Again, different ones for different farms. Here's our new Holland Ford 40 blower. This thing's been pretty reliable. We just replaced the shaft up there, the pipe, because it was rotted out, but this thing's been pretty reliable. It hasn't given us too much trouble. It really blows it up a lot better than this one over here. I've had to use this one a couple times. When this one did break, it slows down a lot easier because it's got a larger fan, as you can see. You can see over there that how big the difference in the sizes of the fans. This runs on 540 PTO, so it runs a lot slower. But since the fans are further spaced away from the PTO, then the blades should technically move faster. What I've found is that it actually is easier to pull it down. So like when you're feeding into it, if you're feeding heavy, that one slows down a lot easier than this one because it's higher rate of speed and the fan moves a lot faster. So it blows up a lot better, and you don't get plugged silo pipes very often with those ones. Oh, the cattle chute. Okay, so let's start off down here. This pulley or crank, you can crank that, and when it's hooked up to something, you can take out these pins on each side, and that'll lower it down to the ground. All the handles are on the other side. Up here we have these smaller handles you can just lift up, and that drops down. Hit the camera, but it's alright, hit a cheap plastic part. Next up, we have different levers over here. What this one does is it pinches and shuts where the cattle's heads go through. What you do is you lift up on this, and that allows you to pull this back. I'm not going to do it right now, but if I push in on it, you can see that it pinches that shut. So back and forth. But yeah, that's the big one. Over here, we have this pipe up on top. What this does is it releases a lever over on the other side that allows this whole panel over there to drop off to the side so that the cows can exit in that direction over there. And for that you have to go back over and you have to shut it manually. Over here we have another crank to release it, because as you pinch it, it'll hold the tension. So I'm going to pinch this right now. If I move this down, it pinches the whole, it moves the whole thing together. Up here, this was the fun one. This is what you do to let the cows in. Once the cow runs through, you can grab it and pull out. And it swings back and forth. So yeah, that's always a fun one. Over here we have the Harrow. We use this to basically flatten out our soybean ground. When we go through and plant it, we need to level it off for when we come through with the combine head, because it floats with the ground and it moves with the ground. You want the ground to be as level as possible. Right now they're hooked up, we got chains keeping them up, and these things are quite unreliable. As you can see, they kind of just float around because there's a spring in there that's broke. But over here on top of each panel, there's 4 panels, which the outside 2 swing out. What these 2 do, or what this does, is you pull down on this and then you can move the handle up and down, which controls the pitch of the tines. So as I were to lift up on this, then the tines would point down and it's more aggressive on the ground and it flattens it out more. This is always fun going down the road with, because sometimes these are quite unreliable, and if they aren't tined up, they can fall down. We've never had an incident where they've fallen down completely, but one has given loose and then it's half hanging off. And so yeah, that's always quite interesting. Here's our post pounder. Down here's the handle for it. It's driven hydraulically. That controls how you move it up and down. It hooks up to a tractor. We had it on the 4020, one of the 4020s, and that's basically all I can really tell you about that. Yeah, it just pounds posts. It's pretty simple. This is a hydraulic lift wagon. It's controlled by hydraulics and it can just lift up. Pretty simple. Here we've got our hay racks. Each of these opens up on the sides. These ones open up in the front, but we've never had a real use for that. We've done it a couple times, but those chains across the front keep the sides held together because they are pretty flimsy. We've got a few of these. The hay elevator for the barn. It's driven by electricity. And I'm not exactly sure on how long this is, but we use those for our small squares. Here's another elevator. It's driven from the side by PTO. Tractor sticks out that way and this folds down. I've only used it once for soybeans. Our first or second year doing the soybeans, we use this to load onto a truck. It's extremely slow, but it also works, so can't ask for much more.